welcome to part 2 of our championship team breakdown. Let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody. How are we all?
Howdy.
Good.
Well, part 2, here we go. We got through the bottom half of the league a couple of days ago. Now we're heading into the upper echelons of the teams from last year. Maybe not where they're going to finish this year.
So these are supposed to be the good teams, yeah?
What's that, Paddy?
These are supposed to be the good teams, are they?
Supposed to be, yeah. We'll see. I think some of the good teams we may have already talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what.
The good teams that did shit last year.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have do we want to just get straight into it? Because we get to start with an absolute banger today. If this doesn't have gossip, histrionics, all sorts of stuff written all over it, who knows what does. We are starting with Sheffield Wednesday.
Woohoo! Absolute disaster.
Well,
they've got great owners.
I'm just going to duck out to the car and grab my wallet to help pay some of their stuff.
Jesus.
Because what an absolute nightmare. What an absolute nightmare. Who wants to fill us in? Actually, let's go. John, you can start. Give us a brief rundown of where they're at right now.
Well, they're in the dumpster, really, aren't they? Let's be honest. Obviously, under the embargo, 3 transfer window embargo, which means they can't pay any money for loan players, let alone actual buying players. Owner hasn't paid the players since last month now, and I think that it's actually creeping up to being close to 2 months, which if it does reach 2 months, the players and staff, I believe, can then hand their notice in and rip up their contracts and walk away. So
yeah.
they are probably weeks away from an absolute chaos, to be honest. The manager has been on any podcast, any TV show, any interview, radio show, anything going in Germany to try and get him to tout himself for a job elsewhere, which, was like usually the managers don't get sort of dragged into sort of questions about it. But, he's just said, please hire me. I want a job, which is just baffling, really. But yeah, obviously he's got that clause as well. There's a £5 million release clause to get him. So, of course, no one wants to pay that. He's a really good manager. Don't get me wrong. What he did with them the last couple of seasons has been remarkable. So I think he has earned a move, shall we say, to a decent club with probably a decent owner, which pays people. But yeah, you got to feel for the fans. That's the one thing I'd say is you got to feel for the fans in this situation. They're a massive club, and I don't see any way out of it right now. I just see an absolute season of hurt and chaos on and off the pitch.
Yeah. Staff haven't been paid since May is the official line. So I feel for imagine the poor admin people that are just, most people are living week to week and they're, not getting paid. You got to feed the family, let alone the players and the fans. You're absolutely right.
And prior to that too, they were late getting paid in March too. So it wasn't like this was the first time they were late getting paid. It's a recurring thing. So this is an absolute disaster.
100%. So I guess, we were talking managers. He's on it, like John mentioned, he's on a $5 million release clause. So, you can't see anybody paying that, can you?
It's tough. And it's too bad because he's a really good manager. I think there's a lot of clubs that would love to have him, but it's just too expensive. I don't know how you get. I don't know how you can get out of it. I don't think you can, unless they don't pay him. I don't know whether he's being paid or not. So I don't know.
That's the thing I was about to say is you can absolutely guarantee Chancery has picked his 5 best players and his manager, and they're the only people getting paid, so that they can't break their contract.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and everybody else is getting screwed.
Yeah.
Well, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, look, well, I mean, I did have them down for 23rd, but I know a couple now with this whole problem. But I know a couple of boys in the show here have predicted slightly worse than me.
Yeah.
Well, if they keep having these issues, players simply won't play, and they'll be using their fucking academy.
The other thing to take into consideration is I think it happened to Wigan as well, and I think Reading, is that if they continue not to pay, they will get points deductions as well, as the transfer embargo. So it could be a perfect storm for them. So yeah, I don't see any
starting behind by X amount of points anyway. So yeah. You're right.
And the other thing as well, which may or may not work to our favor with some of their players, but we don't need that many of them, is he's just going to have to sell players to keep the wages going. If he's no other way of doing it, he'll finance it by slowly releasing players and getting rid of any value he has in his team.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Well, that would be sensible thinking, and with Chancery, I don't think sensible ever comes into his thinking.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you have to find cash somewhere. It's the only ready cash he can get his hands on from the football side of it. There's no other cash coming in unless he has a lot of people doing the yearly tickets, you know?
Well, this is an owner that said in the fans forum that when somebody said ticket prices are high and he told somebody to sell their house or something. So, you know.
I didn't realise the tickets were that expensive.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we? Well, look.
Last. They're going to get relegated in last place.
Get relegated.
Bottom.
If that's the case, it's just one less team we have to beat to stay out of relegation and be still in the championship. And for all the other teams, it's one less team to beat. So, yeah. Well, let's get on to the only other Welsh team in the championship this year, because Cardiff City did get relegated. So now we have Swansea. So let's get on to Swansea. Paddy, I'll give you the start on this one. Swansea City.
Yeah. Transfers, what have they done so far? They have actually done some business. So they have free transfer Cameron Burgess, free transfer Ricardo Santos. They have Bobby Wales that they bought for 310 from Kilmarnock. And they have Zidane Inusa, something like that. Fee 6.1 million they paid for him, which is really interesting. One of the biggest so far this season. And he came from Hacken, who is where, German, I think. Sweden, actually. Okay, Swedish. Which is kind of interesting. They have a decent coach then, Alan Sheehan.
Interesting on him, Paddy. He took over from a manager we know, Luke Williams from Notts. History at Notts. And so Dan Sheehan's only had 13 games last year.
Yeah.
Alan
Sheehan, yeah. So, yeah, it's another one decent enough manager. He seemed to do okay at the end of the season. Will he stay with them this season? Probably, but who knows with this league. We've had other managers confirmed gone since the last time, so that's now 9 managers on 0 this season so far. So everybody is picking them to do okay this season. Solid mid-table, maybe better if they can pull everything together. Although some people have picked us to finish ahead of them this season. So a little bit of a Welsh rivalry to see where we can end up. So that would be one little target that means nothing for the end of the season, would be to finish above Swansea. But they're certainly aiming solid mid-table. Decent team.
I wouldn't say it means nothing to a Wrexham local.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
I do, Paddy. I do know exactly what you mean.
Technically, it means nothing. In the same way that technically it means nothing that we got the second match draw with Birmingham. It was a point. Yeah. But at least it was a point. It meant something in the league.
Meant nothing, now it means something.
No, well, that technically did mean something. We got 1 point. Whereas we could lose to Swansea twice, but still finish ahead of them in the league. So.
Boy, wouldn't they love bragging rights over Swansea City finishing ahead of them in the championship? We've always been the little brother from two big teams, and maybe not. Well, when I say always, recent history.
Recently, yeah.
So,
I think right now, I think they've done probably some of the best business in the championship so far. I know a lot of teams haven't done a lot.
Yes, but still early, but they did decent.
I think they're doing pretty well. Annoyingly, because I was one of those. I wanted to finish ahead of Swansea, and I think Cameron Burgess is probably the signing of the year so far for me. I think that's like
they signed a really
solid signing on a free.
That's
a good one. It's a good signing. It's a really good signing.
He is a really good centre back. He is just solid at the back. The guy that he played in our last World Cup qualifier ahead of, who was injured, is Sheffield United's Harry Souttar. Yes, Souttar, Harry Souttar, who's taller than Burgess, and Burgess is
he's a beast,
6'9" or something.
Yeah.
So we got a couple of absolute beasts at the back for our national squad, and they're both good players. Yeah, so they tend to swap out. But I mean, look, I think Aaron, you mightn't have to be too nervous. I think we still might be able to get it done. I'm confident Wrexham can get the business done and get over the top of Swansea for the season. But that's not really our goal, is it?
No, I mean, I don't know. For me, I'll be honest. Like, for me, if I think our aim this season, and this may be some people, we need to see what we're going to do. But for me,
are you going to upset everyone now?
I don't think I'm going to upset everybody.
A lot of provisos here. I'm waiting for this.
I think our aim this season, if we can't, because I don't think we can turn the squad over enough to actually push for promotion. I really don't think we can. We would need to do a lot. Okay. In my opinion, I think you aim for our best league finish ever, which was 15th in the championship. You aim to beat that, and you aim to finish the highest team in Wales. I think those are two legitimate things that we should be aiming for this season. That's just my opinion.
What's an outsider think of that comment, John?
I think those are sort of aims you would have towards the back end. But I'm going to be really boring now. For any club, and this is including Birmingham as well, and it will include pretty much half the division, the aim straight away will be get to 50 points. That will be the aim. Get to 50 points as quick as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to 50 points, then you determine, what time of the year that is determines what you then can do. You hear it so many times with teams which are just outside playoffs, and it's all the manager talks about is 50 points, and then we can see where we go and what we're going to do. But I do agree. I think obviously the Swansea thing will certainly be on the agenda for you guys. I actually quite like Swansea, what they've done so far. I wouldn't go as far as saying Bird.
I haven't got my yellow red cards. That's it. If people start saying they like other clubs,
No, I wouldn't go as far as saying Burgess' signing of the summer so far. I would say Harry Darling probably pips that. I think the thing that was more surprising is that he rocked up at Swansea more than anything. I thought he would probably go to somebody that you think might be higher. I could have seen him at a Norwich, for example, but obviously that wouldn't have happened because of the Ipswich thing. But No, I actually quite like. I mean, Swansea. The funny thing is, they're one of those sides that finish the season strong. And the one thing with the Championship, you always look at the teams that finished the previous season quite strong, tend to start the next season relatively strong as well. But they didn't play particularly the Swansea way. They did deviate away from the traditional pass, move, possession. They did go a bit more direct. They mixed it up a bit, which seems to be a bit of this manager's mantra. So yeah, I'll be interested to see, but I think they'll do well. They've still got some business to do, but they've got a makings of a solid mid-table side, which with a few more signings could fall into that dark horse category. I won't lie.
Interesting. You mentioned like the fact that the level of signing that he was, and for me, who obviously knows a fair bit about this player, Australia has been a consistent World Cup qualifier just for the last few years. So just getting into the World Cup, and this is a player that we're looking at that is a decent signing in the Championship. So the level of league that level of player is playing in, and how we rate him as a signing, goes to show the level of competition that this league is.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I like him as a player. I wouldn't have necessarily picked him as being a Swansea type of player. That was the thing that surprised me the most. I get more of a feel he's a bit more of an uncompromising defender. But yeah, I mean, the other defender they got was it Santos from Bolton. That Santos has got some agent, hasn't he? Let's be honest, because he was bloody woeful in League One. How on earth he's got to move to a mid-table Championship side, I do not know. So,
okay. Well, let's move on. Aaron, you get the start on this one. Middlesbrough,
they had some big news today. They did finalize the signing of Rob Edwards as their new manager. So that was big for them. It's been pretty heavily rumored for a week or two now. But Rob Edwards previously was at Luton. And had done really well there. So, he's got experience at this level. I think he's a pretty good manager. I'll be curious what everybody else thinks about him. I think it's a pretty solid hire. I don't know what they've done in the window. Have they done anything yet, Patty? Little, maybe one or two? I don't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
I think I'll bring it up now. 1 second. Okay, so transfers, they have none.
None yet. Okay.
No, they haven't.
All right. Gotcha.
Interestingly enough, like Michael Carrick, who he replaced, like had 3 years at Middlesbrough. So, yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I think Paddy had done some stats, and pre-show we were talking about this on the amount of time some of these managers have had in the league.
Yeah, he was. I think it was one of those things like they, I think they are they're looking to push. They want to be in the playoffs at least every season. I think they're one of those clubs that expect to be there. And Carrick in his third season and not making the playoffs, I just don't think that was going to work with their management.
His first year he was 4th, then he was 8th, then missed, and then 10th. Yeah. So 2 years in a row missing the play is enough for them to go.
Yeah, and that's fair if that's their ambition and that's what they think they should be at. I mean, and honestly, they probably should be. I think they're probably a good enough team. I think they should be in and around it. So yeah, if that was what they set out for him, said, hey, it's playoffs or you're out. There you go. He's out.
Yeah, I mean, do we think this team can bounce and get back up into playoff contention this year?
It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if they were right around it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, they're a strong enough team that if they get things right, they'll be solid. But yeah, very middling kind of at the moment. But always a danger team like that.
you look at their squad and they've actually got some really talented players in that squad. I mean, they bought Morgan Whittaker, didn't they, last January? Quality players. They still got Finn Azaz. I mean, the squad is littered with real, what you would classify as top 10 championship players. Carrick still can. I'm still, the jury's still out on Carrick for me. I know a lot of people seem to rate him as a manager. I mean, he went into Middlesbrough and kind of turned them round in that half season or whatever he had. But, you know, a lot of people would say it was a core of a side that was built around Neil Warnock, who built it. It wasn't really Carrick. And then when you look at the history, well, that first season was Carrick's best finish. So, you know, how much was that Carrick just adding a little bit of magic dust to a Neil Warnock core, and then in the following seasons, which was all Carrick, it went wrong. I don't know. That's what I mean. The jury's still out on Carrick. But yeah, I expect that they will expect to challenge for the top 6, or they will expect to be in the top 6. And you would say, you look at the squad, they should be in and around it, fighting for it without doubt.
Yeah, I mean, we start to get into predictions is so hard now when you start looking at these types of teams, because they could finish anywhere from, you know, 3rd to 15th, because the quality of the league is so tight.
Well, and like this season too, and John, you may be able to shed a little bit of light on this, but this season, I think it was a pretty low points total to get into the playoffs too.
Yeah.
68 points got Bristol in. I think. What's it usually, you think, John?
On average, I think it's usually between 72 and 75, I think, for playoffs, usually.
So, yeah, I mean, so you had 2 teams that were under 70 that got in. And so I think when you figure that in, I think it makes it that much worse. You know, if they're expecting to be around that spot, you know, around that 6th spot.
It usually works if you have what they call like a low tide at the top, so you don't automatic promotions, not 100 points or something like that. You tend to find the playoffs are around the 70, 75 mark. When you get like Leeds and Burnley,
two teams get
100 points.
You
do tend to find it's less. So there'll be a lot of teams last season kicking themselves that they didn't make the playoffs, because last season probably was one, you know, a lot of it. Yeah, it was the opportunity. A lot of the unfancied sides have been waiting for many years to try and grasp, and a lot didn't. So, including Middlesbrough.
You got your research assistant there with you today, Paddy.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat saying hello to the kitty.
Yeah. That's all good. Well, I mean, let's move on. Back round to you, John, for West Bromwich Albion.
Ooh, the Tesco bags. Yeah, I don't. It's all in jest. I don't mind West Brom. They're actually not a bad bunch and a good fan base, to be fair to them. They are. They're another side which will. They will have ambitions of being top 6. The biggest question is the manager, of course, Ryan Mason. First job. I know he's obviously done a couple of interim jobs at Spurs. I don't take anything from that. I'm not even sure what kind of manager he is, what style of play. I would imagine it's going to be possession based and all that side of things, because, you know, he talks that way. But the question with West Brom is how much money they have. I'm not convinced there's an awful lot there to do a lot to the squad. I do think he will tap up Spurs for loan signings. I know there's a lot of links to Mikey Moore for them. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Donnelly, who was on loan at Orient, rock up there this season as well. Because like I said, I think they haven't got oodles amounts of money. They've got one of the best, probably wide players in the division in Tom Fellows, but I suspect he will probably go. I know we've been linked to him, but also I think there's been Everton and a few Premier League clubs have been linked to him, and they want between 15 and 20 million quid for him. So I think he goes. So how much of that money gets reinvested into the squad will probably go a long way to determine how West Brom will do this season. But the ambitions will be top 6 without a doubt. But I would say the big question mark is the manager. Can he be a number one? No one knows.
Thoughts, boys? Paddy, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, not much to add there, to be honest. Very straightforward. Yeah, agree.
Yep, I agree. I'm with you too. I think they're another one of those teams that just like you see that name and you think, yeah, they're going to be right there in and around it. Generally, real close. In the playoffs are real close. And so yeah.
I mean, this is a team that finished. I mean, all the teams now, like Middlesbrough, who we just covered, and now West Brom, both on 64 points last season. Only 4 points out of the playoffs last season, which obviously we've just recognised was low. Pretty much every single one of these teams we talk about now, their ambition has to be at least playoffs, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, no, I think that's the case. But will they finish there or will they not? I mean, time will tell. I think this is a team that actually might slide a little bit this year and finish just below mid-half the table. That's my opinion. But what would I know? I'm upside down and a day ahead of you.
You are too. So what happens tomorrow, Ken? That's what we really want to know.
Yeah.
What happens? Sun's out. It's a beautiful day. Like it's flying. Work-wise, I'm not even going to get into that. I'll leave that alone. I was talking to the boys about that prior to coming on. But no, tomorrow is big announcement from Birmingham City. They're selling all their players to Wrexham. And
I just need a couple. Just give me a couple. I don't need them
just
all.
a couple.
Alfie May, you can have him.
No, you can keep him.
I want a new kid in there. We can have a kid. Yep. No. Well, anyway. Well, let's move on. Aaron doesn't get this one. This one does go to Paddy. It is Millwall.
Okay. Millwall have got Alex Neil. Roughly 26 matches since he came in. Came in last season again, like a lot of these teams. They did okay, fairly solid in the end. Their last 6 seasons, 8th, 11th, 9th, 8th, 13th, and 8th. So very solid up there. But they haven't gotten the playoffs pretty much any year. And then there's a couple of years before that as well, or even worse. So one of these solid teams that just never seems to put it together and scrape over the line. Which is a shame for them, I guess, but they keep trying, they keep changing from Rowett to Barnett to Edwards to Harris to Livermore to Neil. Just can't figure it out for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, well, while you get on to transfer news, I did go just pre-COVID. I went to the UK and watched a game at Millwall, and I've never seen so many police. Like on the train from London down to Millwall, hopped off and done the walk, which I don't know how it might have been a mile. I don't know how far the walk was. I can't remember now, but there was just like fans everywhere. It was fine. But then like from the train station all the way to the ground, there was police everywhere. I got my ticket, just a random visitor ticket. I am row 1, on the halfway line behind the dugouts. How I got that ticket, I do not know, but I did, and it was a great match. It was, I've got a real atmosphere, that ground, but yeah, it was definitely a rowdy place.
Probably like our Stockport match. I was at a Stockport away match. Very similar things as well. You have mounted police on horses sitting in the middle of the road. One team on one side, one team on the other side, walking from the station up to the ground. Yeah. Messy.
It was funny. And Millwall that day did go down 1-0 early and came back and won 2-1. So it was a great atmosphere. But it is team. How do we think? Okay, so on transfer news, Paddy, what do you have there on transfer?
They have nothing registered yet.
Nothing registered yet. What thoughts on this team and where they'll finish, boys?
I will say they did lose. They have lost some players. A couple midfielders. George Seville left on a free, I believe. And today, one of my targets, Oh, geez.
George
Honeyman. George
Okay,
Honeyman
so
left on a free today.
Mary
He's signed with Blackpool today.
Okay. They have also lost Zian Fleming and George Seville.
Yeah.
As well. So yeah, they've actually got 4 out the door so far.
Fleming was on loan at Burnley last season. It's
okay, just a return. Okay.
Yeah, it was a loan with an option to buy. So when they got promoted, they had to buy him. So yeah. But Millwall are just horrible, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised Ken was talking so lovingly about a Millwall match. I'm going to say next season, Ken, you have to come to the Birmingham Millwall game. I think you'll change your mind on how nice that one is.
John, I will tell you, I had a great time, but when I got off that train and started walking to the stadium, I was a little bit nervous.
It's one of those games. I must admit, I do love a Blues Millwall game because for all the wrong reasons, it's the atmosphere. It's one of those. I would like the best way of explaining it is the atmosphere crackles, shall we say? But no, I mean they're a solid side. They're one of those sides where I would say they're the perfect example of how parky ball can work. In a matter of speaking, they don't play particularly, passy possession-based football or attacking football. They are very defensive. They will sit behind the ball. They'll make it horrible to beat, and they will nick victories and win ugly when they need to. They've made their entire career in the last couple of seasons doing that. They've got a couple of decent players. I think obviously there's a lot of links to 2 of them. They've got the lad up front. I think it's Ivanovic, who there's some Premier League interest in him. They seem to rate him particularly highly. And they've also got Tanganga, who, of course, they picked up from Spurs at the back. But it turns out he's got a clause in his contract where it states that he can leave for a Premier League club for 1.2 million this summer.
Wow.
But it's only a Premier League club. So, but yeah, I think they've all, from what I understand, most Millwall fans have accepted that he's probably going to go, and he is arguably their best player. So, I think their manager, didn't he? He came out the other week saying their aim next season is to push for promotion. He said we shouldn't be scared to aim for that. So they'll expect to be there. I'm not sure I see them being there personally, but yeah.
Yep. Right attitude, at least. At least he's got the right attitude. So yeah, any other on that, boys, or you want me to move on?
Nope, I think it's pretty well covered. I think they'll be another one of those teams right there fighting for playoffs.
Yep,
right in that ballpark.
Next up, Blackburn Rovers. Who are we up to? Back to you, aren't we, Paddy?
No, I think it's me.
Oh, you? Sorry, apologies.
Yep. Blackburn Rovers. Kind of surprise this season. I think a lot of people actually tipped them to go down in the preseason stuff, or at least be down towards the bottom of the league. I think they've for a while now they've been having a little bit of issues with ownership, but they do seems to work out. Eustace was there. John Eustace was their manager at the beginning of the season. And he had them up around playoffs all season, which, thought was pretty good. And then when he left, I think towards the end of January, he went to Derby. They brought in Ishmael, Valerian Ishmael, I think that's how you say it. And they dropped off like right after he came in, and they went on a pretty poor run. But then right at the end of the season, they kind of, it's like it clicked. And they reeled off their last 6 games. They had 2 draws and 4 wins, so they had a pretty good run right at the end of the season, and just missed out on playoffs. I think it was goal difference, wasn't it? They missed out on it. No.
2 points.
2 points, yeah, 2 points. I think at one point they were even at one point. If they would have won their game, I think they would have been I don't know if they'd have won. It made it, and Bristol wouldn't have, or if it would have been a points. I can't remember.
I think
Yeah,
they said
goal difference is close enough. So if a draw had become a win,
it was right there. I think had they won
stolen
that
it.
last game, they played Sheffield United, and I think had they won that game, it would end up a 1-1 draw. But if they'd won it, they
might have got it from Bristol.
Yeah, I think they would have made it in. But yeah, pretty crazy run there right at the end of the season for them to get in the playoffs. Yeah, I don't know if they've brought anybody in. Patty, can you check for me?
I can, yeah. They
Have
have brought in Dion De Neve from Kortrijk or something, and Sidney Tavares from Moreirense. Let me check what they are.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity.
I think he's ex-Leicester, that lad.
Portugal is Moreirense, and Belgium is Kortrijk. Okay,
So this may be a question for you, John. Do they generally recruit from Europe like that, or are they?
Not really. They're a bit scattergunish. The ownership's a bit basket case. So yeah, I wouldn't say they focus. I mean, they did. They got a Japanese lad up front. I think they recruited from mainland Europe somewhere. So I think they have tried to. Yeah, they have tried to, go into foreign markets because it's value for money, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Sidney Tavares is a defensive midfielder, and he's reported 2 million transfer for that deal. So interesting. He's 23 years of age.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we've been linked, and I think everybody at this point's been linked with Lewis Travis, their midfielder. So I think we were one of the first teams linked with him. Then all of a sudden, it seems like everybody's linked with him. So maybe when everybody realized there's a chance you get him out of there, everybody said, let's try to get him. That'll be interesting. See where he ends up going. Were you guys linked with him too, John?
I don't. I think one journalist sort of did.
Maybe. Okay. Probably not.
No.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. It's. I'd love to have him at Wrexham. But yeah, they're another one of those teams. It's a weird. This is the one team that's left that it's like I wouldn't be completely surprised if they weren't, didn't do very well. Like if maybe they dropped off next season, it wouldn't be surprising. But then again, who knows? They're a hard one to. It's a hard one to pick because I like I said, I think all the preseason predictions that I saw last season, a lot of people had them towards relegation last season, and obviously they outperformed that. So, that'll be.
Really.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But here's the thing, though: the fact that Eustace left, and I think at the time they were in a playoff position, to drop down to Derby, who was in a relegation position, that should say a lot about the inner workings of that club. So it's probably not a good thing.
Aaron giving secrets from behind the curtain.
I don't think that's a secret. I think it's just putting two and two together. There got to be a reason he's willing to leave. So I don't think things behind the scenes are too great over there.
Yeah, no, I like that, Aaron. Very good. And so you're thinking maybe sliding a little bit, Aaron. Is that your prediction?
Yeah, I think if I had to make a prediction with the teams coming in, probably, they probably slide further down mid-table. Maybe not necessarily. Yeah, we're probably right in the middle somewhere. 13, 14, 15, maybe.
A bit low for you.
Maybe, somewhere in there. I don't know.
John and Paddy, where do you boys think they'll finish?
Go, John. Go on.
I've got a bold call here.
Uh-oh.
I think they're going to be in a relegation battle, personally.
You're not the first to say that.
I don't rate the manager. I think he's an imbecile. People complain about Parkinson long ball. Go watch this guy's football because Christ, it came from the 70s.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah.
Okay. I never have rated him. he's been at Barnsley, he's been at West Brom, he's been around a bit. Every time I've seen his sides, they're quite easy to figure out. They're very basic. I think they're losing Dolan as well on a free, and he was kind of their creative spark. I think they're also potentially losing a couple of guys at the back as well. I think the team needs a lot of work to get it back to being not competitive, but solid base. I think they're the one side for me that will have the biggest drop off from last season to this season. So like I said, I wouldn't be shocked to see them in a relegation fight again, because realistically, the last couple of seasons before last season, that's where they were. So I think they're going to revert back to norm.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, moving on. Well, then it is up to Paddy this time, and Bristol City, Paddy.
Okay, Bristol City, another team who have swapped out their manager, and they now have a Gerhard Struber. He's Austrian, and he was with FC Köln, and he took them to first place and got them promoted out of the second division of the Bundesliga. So that's an interesting call now to pull over to Championship to see what he can do here. So transfers for them, they have got 2 so far. Yu Hirakawa and Adam Randall. No reported fees on those, but they're not looking like big fees either. So a little bit of business done, but nothing major. They have been on the upswing with Bristol, so he has a very interesting job coming in now. The last 5 seasons was 19th, 17th, 14th, 11th, and 6th. So what are they going to do with him if he doesn't start well? Is a big question here. Maybe he'll start well. I have no reason to believe, he might not do it. But it's always a risk with a new manager. Can you get everything sorted over the summer? But if they were 6th this year, they're going to try and push again for playoffs, I would expect, would be the target that they want to get to. So how quickly will they pull the trigger if he doesn't start well? That's an interesting question for me.
For me, I think I could see them dropping down a little bit. I think they were fortunate with the lower points.
Yeah, they got lucky to move a few places. Oh, no, Aaron's gone.
Fair call.
Yeah, I'll pull on that point. They overachieved last season, and partly likely to do with the points tally being so low. Any of the teams kind of in around that area with the 4 or 5 below them, 2 good matches would have pushed them up into the playoffs for a lot of them. So, yeah, that's a hard one. They have overachieved this year. They've been kind of steadily going up. So likely a dip, but how are they going to react to that? If that does happen, will be interesting to see. Will he get time or will he get dumped? So, do you know the owners, John? Are they likely to dump him? Will they trigger early or will they give him the season?
It very much depends how they go. It's Steve Lansdowne, the owner. They're good owners. It's a good club, Bristol. They do have some money about as well, so they won't be. I'm not going to spend like silly amounts, but they will spend a bit. I like the squad. The manager's a bit of a. It was a bit of a surprise. I didn't see him coming back to England because I know he managed Barnsley for a while, and he did quite well there. I think they'll. I'm not going to say they're going to be in the top 6, but I think they'll be in the hunt for it. Like they usually. I mean, I know a Bristol fan who does his own channel, and I always joke with him that Bristol City just put them in 10th every season, just put straight away, just put them 10th because that's where
they'll be close enough.
Yeah, but that's where I see them. They'll be in and around it. If they do make a few decent, shall we say, purchases, then yeah, they could really put a push for the top 6. They got a player I really like in Scott Twine. Twine is a wonderful player. They just got to get the best out of him. The manager change is going to be interesting because I'm not quite. I don't know an awful lot about Struber's style of play, whether it will seamlessly fit into what Manning done. So they might have to have a quite a big change of style there, which could have a negative impact early season. I don't know.
Yeah, and for all of you that are a bit worried about Aaron, there's some of the clubs have kiboshed his internet at home and his electricity because of all the dangerous things he's saying about their clubs. So it's going to have to be nicer when he comes back. He'll be back in a minute. But yeah, I mean, look, Bristol City is one of those teams, isn't it, that just seems to be a championship team.
Yeah.
I mean, interesting for them. I'm really interested, John. Next up, we have a team that always seems to be right there for the playoffs, but never do so great in the playoffs, obviously.
Coventry, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I'll be... It's one of those teams, isn't it? You look at the starting 11, you look at the squad, and you say they look a really good side, and you look and you think they've got a real chance this season. I'll put my hand up right now. Frank Lampard has never really impressed me as a manager, to be honest. Just my opinion. I haven't seen the big sort of scramble for him personally, but he inherited a decent squad. They've added to it. They will add again, and they've got they are a top 6 squad right now, and they will probably add to it. I'm not sure how much they'll lose. I think Gokeres, if he is on the move, they get a sell on possibly from that as well, so they will get some money in for that. So it pains me to say I wouldn't be surprised to see them finish pretty much where they were now. Whether Lampard sees the season out, I think he probably will, because I think the owners have put too much, shall we say, stock into getting Lampard there. I don't think he's gonna bin him. I mean, the owners, they reluctantly bin Mark Robbins, and the thing is with Coventry, they notoriously start rubbish. So they'll probably lose the first 5 games of the season like they always do. I like I say, I see Lampard lasting, and I see them finishing in the top 6 again, and probably losing in the playoffs again
to us.
Well, hopefully to somebody, because they can't.
Paddy, I love it. I love it.
Okay, transfers. They have no one in at the moment, and they have 4 out. Jamie Peterson, Jack Burrows, Fabio Tavares, and Kai Andrews have left the building so far. Oh, no, sorry. Fabio Tavares, no. Oh, yeah, he was on loan in January, and now he's gone. Okay, there we go. Kai Andrews went in January as well. So 3. But no one fantastic. No one of real note. So Coventry, again, decent team, solid name. The last couple of years, they have been 5th, 9th, and 5th. Before that, they actually slid. And if you go back a little bit further, they were down in League One. They got dumped out, so they're only just back. So interestingly, for a big name, they've been gone for quite a while from the league. So they've been solid since they have come back, and I expect them to be solid again, pushing for playoffs certainly. And as we said, if they get into the playoffs, they just have not been lucky with it. So interesting team to play next season. That'll be a fun one.
Yep. Yeah, no, and interestingly enough, I think they'll be pushing for playoffs again without, they have to be right there somewhere, don't they?
Yeah. Lampard isn't known to be a fantastic manager, so it'll be interesting to see. Because obviously he's starting to build up his matches now. He's had 30 matches, so half a season. He doesn't have anywhere to hide anymore this season because it's his first full season. So it'll be all on him, and he'll have a summer window to bring in players. So let's see how he does.
Yeah, well, now last season's table, the team that finished 4th got promoted to the Premier League, which was Sunderland. They made it through. So no Sunderland till I die. V welcome to Wrexham match this season, unless it comes in the FA Cup or something like that in one of the other cups. But the team that finished 3rd that didn't get promoted, Aaron, was Sheffield United.
Sheffield United. We definitely know a little bit about them. We played them in a couple cup games in the last few years.
Yeah.
Actually 3, because we played them. We had a replay the first time. But yeah, that they Sheffield United just sacked their manager, Chris Wilder, which a lot of people were, thought that may have been harsh.
May have been harsh.
They got 92 points. I mean, wow.
I'll tell you
How many
what
points do you want?
I'll tell you what was harsh is they announced his replacement 53 minutes later.
Yeah,
that was harsh.
Yeah,
Did
I think they were having buffering
officially.
They would have got it done in 12 minutes, but
yeah. So their the replacement, we all know. Last time we saw the replacement was at the Kairas, and he was on the receiving end of a 3-0 thrashing when he was a coach at Reading, Ruben Sellers. So, of course, he left Reading, went to Hull, just kept them up and got the sack for it. And then somehow, I guess you could say, failed his way up and ended up at Sheffield United, which is interesting choice. I'll be curious what you guys think about that choice.
Well, what I find interesting is, if I take a little sidebar for a second, being a manager in the Championship does not correlate to job security.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah, he. I mean, to me that, and here's the thing: I don't think he's a bad manager. I thought what he did at Reading was really good. Where he had them under the conditions he was under, I thought he was doing a fantastic job there. I thought he did a decent job of keeping Hull up. I think that whole team probably could have been better, but he kept them up, and I think that was the most important thing. And it's not like he put them in the relegation. He didn't put them down there. They were down there when he got there. So I think, to me, his job was to keep them up, and he did. But apparently that wasn't enough for the owner. But I don't know. I mean, does he fit? Does he fit Sheffield United? Like, that's a weird one for me. Do you see? He's shaking his head. Yes. Go ahead.
Talking before about Harry Suter, did they let him go, or did he leave to sign with Leicester? Because there's a team that just missed out on going into the Premier League, and he's now signed with a Premier League team just coming down into the Championship, which is probably looking to bounce straight back up.
He was on loan. I think he was on loan at United from Leicester.
Was
right?
he?
Yeah, he was on loan. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, I think he's a Leicester player, but was on loan at Sheffield United. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys think about Sellers getting that job, because that, to me, that's I don't know, it's a weird one.
Okay, I don't find it that weird actually.
Okay.
But for a different reason. So the talk as I understand it, is the new owners have come in, want to change things around, weren't happy with Chris Wilder because basically he wanted too much power at the club. He wasn't the yes man. He was comfortable with what he was doing, and the new owners weren't so comfortable with that idea. So they decided to get rid, and now they brought in Ruben Sellers, who is going to do as he's told, and they're going to dictate to him what players he gets, because they want to use metrics and analytics to bring in players. So the question is, if they're going to take all this power and treat Ruben as just a head coach, are they then going to blame Ruben if it starts going wrong? Usually the answer is yes, because they're not going to blame their own metrics. They're going to say, we gave you a great team. Why the hell didn't you get them playing football well?
Can't exactly sack an Excel spreadsheet, can you?
Yeah. So Ruben could be in big trouble here. Now, what I was going to say earlier, I just didn't do it fast enough before Aaron started talking. Earlier today, I was watching someone do predictions for the season. And now these were a little bit old before before Ruben Sellers came in, and the person put Sheffield United to win the whole league, and he was so happy about that prediction. Guaranteed, they're going to win it all. It's going to be easy this season. And I was laughing, knowing that they have done this change and everything else, and all the problems that could come with this. So yeah, the Sheffield United will be a fun one to watch, and hopefully they tear themselves down so that others don't have to do it.
Well, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see who they can hold on to from that team, or does it get taken apart? Like Gustavo Hammer, I think there's a good chance he goes. And I think he was probably one of their best players to me. I think they've got a lot of players that could get taken out of that squad. I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't know. I don't know if they can keep it together.
So there's no one out.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's no one out, and they've taken one in. Eche Ukaki, I think. From some weird place called Botev Plovdiv from Bulgaria. No transfer fee known for that one.
Yeah.
No business done yet. Obviously, if you're changing your manager, you might hold off anyway. Plus, they're reorganizing the club with after the takeover and looking for their players and stuff. I would not expect massive purchases here. If they're going to spreadsheet it and go by numbers, they are going to bring in a load of players who have the numbers but aren't known, because one of those metrics is they'll be cheap for what they believe they're getting. So that'll be an interesting one to see what happens.
Yep, moneyballing it. I mean, look, this is going to be their second consecutive year after dropping down from the Prem, where they did come last, and they had 2 years prior to that, 2 years in League One, and then they had 2 years before that in the Prem. So the money's about, like, they've had the money from the dropping back from the Prem, but what is the trend of this team for this season is the interesting question.
I think the other thing is, I read an article recently where they are going more analytical with theirs, but they're also going to be using AI for it, which I believe they are going to be one of the first open clubs to utilize AI in finding players, which is one of the big fallings out between Wilder and the ownership. I think, like Paddy said, Sellers he's a coach of players. He's not a manager, so he's not going to have any problems working under conditions where essentially he is provided with the players and he will just coach them. I actually think he'll do all right there. I think they've got some good players there. I mean, I think, like Aaron said, Harmer will go because he's too good for the Championship. Somebody like a Leeds are going to spend a fortune and buy him. But they do have some really quality footballers still there. I mean, they've got O'Hara in the number 10. All right. Kiefer Moore needs to be sent out on his bike. But they have got some really quality players, and Sellers is a good manager. He'll organise them and play football. So, and I've always liked the way Sellers will bring in not necessarily superstars. He will make players better. So I can see them signing maybe some lower end players, may even be some top League One players, and he'll make them better and integrate them into the squad. Whether they'll be automatic promotion is a completely different argument, though. I'm not convinced on that one.
Well, I think the auto promotion teams, unfortunately for me, is either, this is not a slag on you, John. It's Birmingham is one of those options, and the relegated teams out of the Prem are the teams fighting for the auto promotion.
Only two of them, I would say. I don't put Leicester in that because of the potential points deduction.
Yes,
but
good point. Yeah, fair point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If they get a minimum 12-point deduction, which is what's rumoured, that takes them out the automatic hunt straight away. That they will not recover from 12 points.
And doesn't it give like your team and our team a leg up? Like with them and Sheffield Wednesday in a world of hurt. It just means that's everything adds up. Like that's 2 extra teams that are finding it harder.
Yeah, I mean,
for all those, yes. It doesn't really mean anything for the playoffs, because if they still end up in playoffs, then it's just
they were always going to be there, weren't they? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, so they'll likely still make it into playoffs, I think. Unless things start going crazy, because we can talk about that when they're up next, because there's a lot to talk about with Leicester actually. So
well, let's move on. I mean, the last two teams in the Championship this season did get promoted, which is Burnley and Leeds in the Prem this year. Congratulations to those guys. And my mate here in town that's a Pommy that supports Burnley is very happy about that. But he said, Ken, I'll see you next year when we come back down, was his immediate comment to me. But now we get into the three relegated teams from the Prem, and we start off with Southampton. So who am I back around to? Am I back around to you, Paddy? Is that right? Or who am I?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Southampton, Paddy.
Okay, Southampton have no, that's Portsmouth. Where are they?
Close.
Southampton will still. Did they change the will?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not updated here. Something was confusing me. Okay, yeah, so another team who has changed. And what are we going to do with them? They will be strong. They'll have all the money, of course. Look, that's the simple thing. They're going to be looking for an auto promotion straight away. There are other issues with Leicester, so themselves and Ipswich are going to be really strong contenders. I don't know what else you can really say, to be honest. If they're not pushing for the top two, they've had a bad season straight away. Something has gone badly wrong. Now, it can happen. They can be beaten out of the automatics. It is not guaranteed they'll go back up. So let's see how they fall apart. Great, they've got a new coach, because that's always a potential worry no matter what. Things can go wrong there. But yeah, they're absolutely charging for top two. They've got money, unless they want to save all their money and go with the team they have. But they'll have to readjust. They may not get it right. Teams don't always get it right coming back down. But they're one of the solid teams that don't have too much going wrong for them in general. So they should be.
Yeah. And signings, Paddy?
Signings, as of yet, they have one. Joshua Karzai, or Karshi, however you say it. 3.6 million fee from Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim is who? Germany. Okay, should have got that one. In the Bundesliga. And outgoing so far, none yet. None have gone.
Kashi, he's a defender, I think, too. He's a centre back, so yeah. So that's very interesting too.
He's a centre back, yeah. He is.
Yeah, so interesting to see what happens with them. I mean, all the very interesting transfers are going to be coming up in sort of the next 3 weeks, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to see a lot of news come July 1, once we get into next week.
Yeah, as pre-season's due to start in a week or two. So you'll start to see clubs sort of push ahead in that front.
Well, and then another thing to keep in mind too, some of the Premier League clubs, I saw today, Villa are looking to sell a few players prior to July to help with PSR issues.
Shame.
Yeah. So, which, you know, there's a couple of Louis Barry being one of them. He was named. He is for sale on a permanent. So that's one that could be looked at. There was a couple others I can't remember, but Louis Barry was the one that we would be more aware of. So some of that, I'm with you guys. I think here in this next week or so, things are going to start happening, and then once you get into July, you know, it stays pretty busy. But
yeah, 100%. Well, let's move on. Let's get into. I mean, well, okay. Well, wait up. Where do we think they'll finish? I think this team's just gonna scrape into the playoffs.
Oh, see, I think they'll be right there at top two. I think they'll be fighting. They'll be in the top 3 spots.
I'm loving the look on his face when I said that.
Yeah. Okay. What's the logic behind that? Fighting to just get into playoffs.
I just don't think they're going to get the signings that they want. I think they're going to be rumblings in the squad from players from coming down out of the Prem. These are players that are used to playing in the Premier League, don't want to play in the Championship. They're Premier League players. And that's my reasoning behind it. And it's not always about, yes, they were a Prem team this year, but they were a Prem team that came last in the Prem. So
I think that's more to them being a championship side that went to the Prem.
Yeah.
Agreed. And the championship, like we've been talking about so far today and in the last one, is a super tough league, Paddy. It's very easy to be, unfortunately, for everybody else, for the three of us left in this podcast, I think this guy's team is going to be a very good chance of getting auto promotion this year. That's one of my tips for this season.
He's more of a Birmingham fan than me, I reckon.
I think he is.
Well,
I'm gonna start questioning this guy. He's all excited about Millwall.
Yeah.
All excited about the Blues. Who else are you excited? The kid's just a closet fan of all these teams, and then he tries to throw me under the bus.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep throwing Aaron under the bus, and he keeps shaking his head. Look, all I'm saying is great teams, and I think they're going to go well, and it's a really tough league. I want Wrexham to finish well, and my prediction for where Wrexham will finish this season might surprise some people, but that's my thoughts on those teams.
Okay. I absolutely get the logic of dropping down maybe 4th, 5th, 6th. Okay. Yeah, that does regularly happen for players that come down, or teams that come down, they get it wrong, can't reorganize their team, have players all pissed off, whatever. Some wanted to leave, couldn't leave. Some got out and left the team and they couldn't replace them well enough or whatever. All that. Yeah. But putting them outside and just missing that's the bit that I think is pushing it for me. Because you say how strong the league is, but the league is strong because of these three teams, because of these guys coming down with all the money and all the financing, with the solid players from the Prem.
Yeah, but that's part of it. In my eyes, Paddy, it's other teams as well.
Yeah, they're not a Luton though, are they? Southampton. I mean, you look at that Southampton squad. They've got probably 3 or 4 what you would classify as cheat code players of this level that are just probably too good for Championship, but not good enough for Premier League. And that's the difference. I mean, they've got Adam Armstrong, who they pumped out on loan to West Brom back end of last season because he was no good for the that guy scores 20 goals a season in this league every season, and they've got wide players which are just like to die for at this level. So I'd love you to be right, Ken. I really would, but I don't see it. I don't see it in a million years. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, I'm happy to be. Look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Just my prediction.
Yeah, I think they'll be right there at the top. They'll be battling for the top 2.
Okay. Well, Paddy, you think they'll be right there at the top 2, don't you?
Yeah, I would certainly put them top 4. Anything can happen when
you're only 2 spots off me and you're having a big complaint about it.
No, you said outside the playoffs. That's 7th.
No, I didn't.
You did. You said they'll be just outside playoffs.
Did I? I thought I said 6th. My apologies.
You said you'd just be scraping into the playoffs.
Yeah, which is
scraping in. Okay.
Yeah.
I might have slightly misheard you then. Okay.
There we go. Such controversy here on the local pundit. Got 90 people in here, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll throw that in now that we're getting very deep into it. Let's move on to the second last team for today's show, Ipswich Town. And who is up?
Who's up? It's John.
I think
it is John with Aaron last. Is that right?
Yeah.
Ipswich. I won't lie. Probably the best team in the division next season by some distance. I mean, that squad is pure filth at this level. Let's be fair. The manager again, I did have a sneaky feeling Brentford might go for him. I kind of thought that made a lot of sense, and the move wouldn't surprise me because Brentford, as much as it pains me to say it, are a fairly established mid-table Premier League side these days, and it would be a safe move for him. But obviously they've chose to look elsewhere. He's a top-class manager, and the way they play football, they just attack you, and they attack you a lot in games, and the player. I mean, Amari Hutchinson's he's a wonderful player, and I know they've sold Delap, but the Jack Clark at the Championship level he's a horrible player to play against because every time he touches the ball, he just looks like he's going to rip you a new one. But he's a wonderful player to watch as a neutral, and they've just got a whole team full of them. So they're going to win this league by a canter. I think, if I'm being honest, I don't see anyone close to them. Not at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I totally agree. There's more players in that team. Jaden Philogene is unbelievable. Sammy Schmottix led the championship 2 seasons ago.
Cheat code.
I mean, just this squad is unreal. I think everybody's going to have this team picked as top of the league. I think it's going to be it'll be about like all the championship predictions are going to be like they were for League One last season, where they had Birmingham. Everybody had Birmingham first.
Apart from the podcast, who one of them had us like 7th.
Well, I mean,
what do they know,
guys? But yeah, Ipswich is. I think to me, when they went into the Premier League last season, it was like they bought all the best players from the championship. It's like, we're going to build a championship super team. Yeah. So when we drop back down, we are going to piss that league and be right back into the Premier League and then continue to build from there. I thought, I think the team's going to be incredible. And if they can keep McKenna, like you said, I think it seemed pretty heavily rumored he was going to go to Brentford. It seemed like almost a done deal at one point, and then it just kind of got quiet. So I'm not sure what happened there. But, I mean, if they hold on to McKenna and keep, with that team that they've got and no reason to have to sell any of them really. I mean, they did, they made, the one sell, which when, what did they sell Delap for? I don't remember what it was.
35.
I mean, you're in the championship, you just offered $35 million for a player. So
it's double bounce, Aaron. Like, they went from League One to the championship straight to the Prem, which is interesting. Obviously then they're coming straight back down, but the money that they come back with,
exactly.
and the squad that we're all talking about right now.
So they're going to build. They're going to add to that. That's the thing. They're going to be able to add to that squad. I'm not sure how, where you're going to beef it up at, but somewhere, they're going to be able to make additions, and they're going to, maybe take a punt. Maybe there'll be a team that goes into Europe and try to find some players that are, higher end players that are playing in some leagues that we don't see too much of. And take a punt on some guys. So, because I think they're good enough that they can afford to take a punt on a few guys and it not really matter if they work out or not. You know what I mean? I think they're going to be incredible.
So are we all in agreement here, winning the league, or has anyone got something different to say?
No, I don't think there's any other negative you can really throw at them. They did what I said we should do if we ever manage to scrape it up through the playoffs. And it's try and buy up every top level championship player you can get your hands on for a year in the Prem that they want to try it. And then they come back and you've got a monster championship team. And now that they're looking to do it again, they should be investing their money in the young players that are showing massive talent and could potentially be the future, another Liam Delap or whatever, and go up and just try and make their team stronger. So they'll be the ones to beat. I think, absolutely. There's no points deductions we're aware of. There's no other problems. They've now sold the lap for 35 million. They've got the money from the Prem bounce. It's all looking in their direction.
Well, here we go. Talk about bookending the show. We started out with Sheffield Wednesday, who's really going great, and they got a really bright future ahead of them. All they got to do is find their wallet and pay some people. And we finish off the show with Leicester City.
Yeah, Leicester City. Interestingly, so I think still is Van Nistelrooy is still their manager currently. Rumors he may be going. I don't know. Maybe were they the team that it sounded like they were waiting until July?
July 1st,
July 1st to make that move. He's probably getting the sack.
He only had half a season with them. Which is a bit longer, but
a bit longer. And of course he was at United. He was at Man United. I think he took over in the interim he was their interim for a couple games, and then off the back of that, I think he got this job. But yeah, I don't know. So wasn't there a story? Now I haven't pulled it up, but there was a story. The group, something with their ownership group, King Power or something. There was a story that they may be going bankrupt. So
yeah. So King Power basically does the duty-free shopping at airports, which has taken an absolute fucking nosedive since COVID and beyond. People haven't gone back to flying in the numbers, and those that are flying are not worried about spending in the duty-free shops. So they have massively got a problem there. And that potentially, what they're doing is they've just linked one to the other. King Power seems to be screwed and about to go under. And that's the owners of Leicester. So will they be able to finance the club if their main income source gets bankrupted? So that's the linkage there. At the moment, there's nothing direct to say that, I guess, but it's a natural progression. If he can't afford it, he hasn't got the money, he's going to stop paying. As soon as they stop paying, they're getting even more problems, more deductions. Mm-hmm. So they could be in a big problem.
Yeah. So Matt Al just they spent. Have they? I've not paid attention. Have they spent money this already? Oops. Sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
No, they have no one in yet, and they have one out. Daniel Iverson, goalkeeper, went to Preston.
Who have they spent that money on, Matt Al?
Yeah, Matt Al, what are we missing? What are we missing now? I was going to say, it seems like a lot. Because I honestly haven't paid a ton of attention to them.
Well, interesting. Now, here's a team that historically has been a Premier League team. They had 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, they won the Premier.
9
they
seasons.
Won it. What 9? Yeah,
they won it. They won it 2015-16.
Yeah.
And went down. Obviously, not this year, just gone, but the year before they were down in League One. Won that. Went straight back up to the Prem. Now coming back down again. I have a feeling this is a team on the slight downward trend.
Mm-hmm.
From big club, big news, and
then plus if they end up with a 12-point deduction, that kind of automatically takes them out of the automatic promotion spot.
Which is a lottery of playoffs if you're still a great side.
Yeah, if you're still good, how good are they going to be?
I think the thing with Leicester is that the rumours are that, of course, Van Nistelrooy is toast on the 1st of July. And if all the rumours are to be believed, it's Sean Dyche has been tapped up to take over. Call me cynical, but the only reason you look at a manager of Sean Dyche's type to come in is, I know he's done well but he's a firefighter. He's good under extreme sort of circumstances. I wonder whether they're looking at somebody like him who's got pedigree of getting teams out of the Championship, but necessarily not the pretty way, under a bit of tight budgets, maybe. I don't know. That's just the cynical side of me. But they said the points deduction is a minimum 12 points. So, I mean, it could be 15, 18 points, which, could be catastrophic for them. Like it's going to take them out of the automatic hunts. I mean, the squad they've got is still ridiculous. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, some of the play. I mean, they've got that Manfredini, and I mean, they've still got Harry Winks, I think, in there and stuff. I mean, they've got some wonderful players. Whether it all comes together or how many will have to be sold with the PSR.
Yeah. I've been having a look there to see if I missed some on some other websites. I can't find any transfers that have happened so far. In the last year, though, their income from departures has been touted here at 47.25 million, and what they have spent on players is 91.05. So that is a deficit of 43.8 million. Now they've come down a league. Obviously, they're going to have to start balancing the books. So that's going to be an issue. They're going to have to move players on, and they're going to have to chop up their team quite significantly if that's the case.
Yeah. Al, if you got names, if you got names, let us know because we can't find them.
Matt, I was saying, according to Google, and Nick Donlan's mentioning the fact that also include players from last summer.
So maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was the
their
January signings, possibly.
Their last purchase was Oliver Skipp, according to this defensive midfielder, market value about 15 million, and apparently they paid a fee of 23.5.
Oh, wow.
So maybe that's where they're pulling the 15 million from, was actually the market value price.
If they just don't do one bit of business, they could get Sheffield Wednesday out of all their trouble.
Well, we know they won't have Jamie Vardy. We
That's
also
true.
know he won't be at Wrexham, so don't ask.
That's also true. It's I mean, holy dolly, it's these two shows have just got me salivating even more for the season to start.
Yeah, I know. It's exciting. Now, see, this will be now we can start diving into the more of the. We'll be able to focus more on who's signing who, what who's leaving where, what's that kind of stuff. We can dig a little deeper on the Chef Wednesday stuff and maybe the Leicester stuff. See what kind of issues they're having. Maybe even the not Burnley. Yeah. The other one. Blackburn. Blackburn was the other one that was, they've got some weird ownership stuff going on there too. So
just weird owners, Aaron. They're just weird.
Just weird owners. Yeah. It's now quickly. Are there Indian, correct?
Yeah.
From India. Now, isn't there the Venkies? Yeah, and they have it. From what I can understand, just a brief, what I've been able to look into it, they have issues getting money out of India to put into the club. Is that the problem?
It's a similar problem that we faced with Chinese ownership a few years ago and other Chinese, when China as a government stopped or tried to stop money going out of China being spent on, shall we say, sports and recreation. India have done the same sort of thing where they're trying to stop Indian nationalists and businesses spending money on foreign sports ventures, shall we say. So it's hard for the Venkies to essentially pump money back into the club. So Blackburn, I wouldn't say they're having to run themselves, being self-sustainable, but they are having to rely on, money they make from sales and stuff that way. So money can come in from the ownership group, but I think it's kind of a slow trickle. It's not, they can't just sort of pump 5-6 million in to plug a gap or something. So but then again, they are bonkers owners themselves. They don't think sensibly either. So let alone that they have the money problems, they aren't what you would classify as decent owners in that regard. So hence, like you said, why Eustace decided to jump ship on a team in 6th to go to a team that was second bottom and nailed on to get relegated, I think speaks volumes in itself.
Yeah. Sea Lord of Bravos, I'm an hour late. That'll be a fine. You will get fined for that. Yeah. We'll get with you. We got to decide what the fine is, but you will get fined.
So do we have time to do a quick tier list then and organize what we've said about the teams?
I'm good for time if everybody else is.
We want to rank them, do we? Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it as a team.
We'll get to the controversial bit now, you see.
Okay, so can you see me? Sort of. I'm a glowing.
Why don't we? Can we make you front and center and put all us to the side?
Yes, we can. Yeah, hang on a second. Oh no, I didn't want to do that.
We'll just get rid of this.
Can I not be highlighted with you guys beside me? I can.
I think we can.
Oh, that's you. There we go. Can we do that but me? Let's see.
Well, we don't want me at the front. Yuck.
Okay, why?
You always have to be front and center, Ken.
I'm not even touching the buttons, guys. Here we go.
Okay, it's not working. I don't know how to
remove myself, Paddy.
Okay.
I'll try it.
Okay, now try and come back in. No. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we can still hear you guys, so it'll just have to be me.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
There you go.
There
You
you
can
go.
hear
Bye-bye.
us. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so we're going to go bottom to top like we did for the last 2 episodes. So Charlton Athletic, are they staying in relegation, or do we think they have a shot to sneak out?
I'm saying
Relegation for me.
relegation for me.
Danger.
Okay. Right, then we're going to skip R2, and everybody can put them wherever they want. So we're going to skip that argument. Now we have Hull. Relegation, bottom half or other?
Relegation for me.
Me too. They were my other relegation. One of my other relegation teams.
Okay, more so or less than Charlton?
Charlton for me is no. They're going to be 22nd in my eyes.
Yeah, I've got Charlton finishing above Hull.
Okay, so you're John's opposite to me. Go with John's call.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I agree with that as well. Okay, next up then we have Preston North End.
I've got them in relegation danger too.
I've got them bottom half.
Yeah, I've got bottom half too.
I'm outvoted.
Okay, so let's leave them there for the moment. We can always adjust this at the end, but let's just get them in quick. Okay, Derby.
Bottom half.
Bottom half.
Yeah.
Bottom half, I agree. Okay. Head of Preston, I'll put them for the moment. Stoke City. Now, they were danger, weren't they?
Bottom half.
Yeah, bottom half.
Yeah, bottom half for me too.
Okay, above or below Preston?
I would have them above both Derby and Preston.
Yeah, I'd have them above. Yep.
Okay,
That's fine.
I'll go with that. Oxford.
That's a tough one for me. I think they could be either bottom or top. They're right in that cusp of that line in the middle, for me.
Okay.
But
we'll leave them as the bottom of the top half at the moment, and we can always adjust it after. Portsmouth.
bottom half for me.
I see. I'd have them above Oxford.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah.
I think I would as well, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. QPR.
Poku's new club.
Top half for me.
Okay. I didn't like this.
You don't like that?
I was very harsh on them. Yeah, I remember.
I'm happy to be voted out. Like, what are you boys? Aaron and
I would have.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Above Stoke?
I was gonna say I would put them probably at the bottom of the top half.
Okay, so behind Oxford, above Stoke for now.
Okay.
Watford.
This is what
I would have top half for me.
Just in the top half for me.
Yeah, mid-table, proper mid-table.
Okay.
Above QPR.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
Probably above Oxford too. Really, I'm not high on Oxford to be fair. I would almost have Oxford in the bottom half, but
there we go. Okay.
You don't like Oxford as a city?
I don't like Oxford.
Okay. In mind, see if you can convince us later. We can make adjustments.
Yeah.
Okay, Norwich.
Jeez.
I would put them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Personally.
I've got them in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're right there. Yeah.
Okay. Sheffield Wednesday.
Rock bottom.
24.
Okay, that was obvious. Swansea. Okay, we know where to put them.
Bottom half.
Yeah, top half for me.
Yeah.
Okay, top
Probably
half.
probably above most of those teams too.
Yeah, I'd have them top of what you've got on the screen at the moment.
Okay.
For the moment, yeah. Okay, Middlesbrough.
Right now,
again.
playoffs, but maybe
Playoffs?
dropping down to the top half later.
Yeah, they're in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
Above or below
I
Norwich?
think when we get to the end of this, we might be moving.
Go below Norwich. Go below.
Yeah, below Norwich, I would have them.
Okay. Right. West Bromwich Albion.
Top half for me. Top of the top half.
Yeah, I'd put them above Swansea.
Yeah, they've been really solid, haven't they?
Yeah. Tesco's mid-table.
Okay, Millwall, another solid.
That's another.
Well, they haven't got playoffs yet, so
I would say top half somewhere
as
in
well.
there.
Yeah.
They're gonna
just
flirt
missing
with
the
playoffs,
playoffs,
aren't they?
Yeah. Well, if we end up with too many in any of these, like here in the top half, we'll adjust them later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Blackburn. Now, we had some varying thoughts on this, where they might end up.
I would have them in the bottom half, but I think I may be alone on that one.
I'm okay if we put them at the top of the bottom half.
There you go.
Safely in the bottom half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bristol City. They made playoffs last time, but we were saying less than.
I would put them above Portsmouth, but below Swansea probably, or maybe above Swansea. Maybe above Swansea. What do you guys think?
I'm having them missing the playoffs in my predictions, but definitely top half. But what about you, John?
Yes,
I would have them finishing above Millwall and Albion personally.
Would you? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't not in the playoffs. But I would have them finishing.
Why don't we split the difference and put them between Millwall and West?
That's
okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay. Coventry.
Playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Descent?
maybe. I think this is the team that might just bottom of the playoffs if they're in it.
Okay. Sheffield United. Top end of the playoffs. Maybe.
Jeez, we're going to be moving some teams into
Yeah,
this.
we're definitely moving teams. Yeah, I think they're a playoff team.
Okay. This is fun.
Okay.
That means technically, guys, we've already filled the playoffs.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
We'll play with it. Okay, so Southampton.
Autos for me.
Okay. Ken, you good with that for now?
I'm happy to go with the majority. And
okay. We're going to overrule you. Okay, Ipswich, we pretty much said first, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
Easiest one.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to win it.
Okay, so now we have Leicester City. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with them, but we know they're going to have a load of shit to deal with.
This one's interesting. How far do they drop out of the top? That's the interesting. Do they drop into the top half? Do they make the playoffs?
Well, okay, so let's work on the fact that they got a 12-point deduction.
Yeah.
How high can they get with a 12-point reduction?
Fifth, fourth,
fifth.
But if they struggle,
they could even be outside the playoffs.
Yeah, and with likely a new manager coming in, so there's going to be a little bit of change there. I can see them missing the playoffs.
This table, what I'm noticing here with this table is that we're very nice people. We've got a lot of people very high.
Yeah.
If Leicester end up outside the playoffs, they've had a really shit season on top of everything else as well, kind of. So for now, will we put them in the playoffs at the bottom?
Fifth, I would probably.
We'll put them there. We've got to move some when we're done, so we'll put them there for now.
All right. Okay.
So, who's missing out on playoffs then?
Well, why don't we get the others in and then we decide?
No, we're not putting the others in.
Oh, okay.
No, what we're going to do is I'm going to use this as a result for my list because I'm doing predictions, and we're each going to have a set of this, and you're going to put your Birmingham and Wrexham in by telling me what they are, and they're going into our own list.
Okay.
In our own list. And then you can always do a second one and you can move more. But first of all, what we've left here, and then you can adjust it as much as you want.
This is depressing. Ken's going to have Birmingham in the autos and I'm not.
You're going to be sacked from the Birmingham Appreciation Society.
Yeah, I won't be allowed back in St Andrews after this.
Okay, so
we got to move. We got to move one out of playoffs.
One has to come out. Is it Coventry?
I vote Coventry.
I would say Middlesbrough personally out of those group.
You, Paddy?
I'd be okay with playing with Middlesbrough this time. Actually, yeah.
with pulling them out. With
pulling them
taking
out. Yeah,
that's fine. If you guys want to do, that's fine.
I like Coventry more. Maybe it's a bit biased.
I'll be honest with you. I think both those teams are out of there, but
Me too.
might be giving away where I think somebody else finishes.
Right. So then top half is another 6 here. So we need to drop 3 of them.
Okay, I would say
6. Yeah,
for
3.
me, to me the first one I drop would be Oxford. I think they're in the bottom half.
Imagine my shock.
Okay, done.
Yeah.
I think QPR's also got a.
Yeah, I think QPR's got to come out of that list.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other one I'll be bringing out of that list is Swansea, but I'll be outvoted here, I know. And that's fine.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I'm a coin flip between Watford and Portsmouth.
Yeah, if I was having to put money on it, who would finish above who, I would probably say Watford finished above Portsmouth. But that's maybe
I'm
just
okay with that.
bit.
And I'm okay with that. Ken, you good with that?
I'm good with that. Actually, yeah, Portsmouth is probably, I would probably pick Portsmouth to finish lower than Swansea, actually, now that I think about it.
Okay.
Okay. So
there it is, Paddy. But it's really not finished, is it? Because there's 2 sitting out of there.
Okay. So that is our 4-way group table. And guys, you will find out later in our Discord chat, if you wish, if the guys want to say what it is.
Did we want to do a reveal? Did we want to do a reveal on another show, Paddy?
If you have time and you want to do the reveal now, we can take our turns and put them up there, or we can wait and give more time.
I got to plug it all into the supercomputer.
Okay.
Get the Amstrad booted up.
How about this? Why don't we wait? Let's wait and let's leave it like this. Let's get, say, halfway through the summer and see some of the signings and then maybe adjust it.
No. I'm not waiting if you won't do it. You can do another version later. You can update it. There's no problem. You can put in as many versions as you want.
So what are you wanting us to do then? I'm confused.
Add in Birmingham
Just
and Wrexham.
add in Birmingham and Wrexham and tell me where you put them. That's it.
Okay. And so when are we doing that?
Now, tomorrow, tonight. Send it to me in Discord and I'll program it into my system.
Okay, but then what are we doing with it? Like
I'm gonna track it the whole year. And
but what if I want to change it?
Then change it and add another one. You can have 3 and 4. It's fine. I'm just going to list it early group. Like this will be group with Wrexham and Birmingham. You can have your early one. John's done an early one already. I've done an early one. I'll be adding later ones as well. No problem.
I'll do an early one. And for Nick Donnellan, we're not giving you an answer today, but I'm going to give you a little teaser. Both the teams that haven't been put in that table yet, I think are going to do very well. That's your teaser.
Okay. Now, actually, here's a good point. This is not only open to us. If you are in the chat, why don't you put in Wrexham and Birmingham as well?
Do your own table.
Do your own table. Send me your answer for Birmingham and Wrexham, and I'll put it in for you. Or you can use the link that's in Discord and put it in yourself.
Yeah, put it in Discord, put it in Champ Chat.
Yeah. But anyone who wants to use this list as we have it and add Birmingham and Wrexham, just tell me where they are, and I will add you to the list for the rest of the season.
Well, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I love Aaron's like, what if I want to change it? What if I want to do this? What if I want to do that?
You can have 4.
Like if Kieran McKenna leaves tomorrow and then Ipswich ownership folds and they have a disaster, all of a sudden, maybe I don't want them finishing first.
Yeah, that's fine. But then you'll have 2 versions, and I'll show you where they finished at the end of the year.
Okay, all right. But here's my point. Why don't we revisit it later on, and we can make adjustments to this and play with it? Because I think people play with it.
Once we all have our predictions in, we can put them up for the start of the season. Like as long as they're finalised before the first game, then at mid-season we can all review it and do a second one. But we can also then see how we're all going, which will be hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll keep everyone updated.
I'm just waiting for somebody to clip up Ken saying that we're going to finish in the automatics and out him on Twitter or something. So
I got my Wrexham kit on.
Yeah, I think it was somebody. I think it might have been Nick Donald. Somebody in the chat earlier said we know that Ken's got a blue shirt underneath that away kit.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay. Okay, people are already putting it in the chat. Guys, please send it to me in Discord so I don't miss them. And part of not putting it in the chat is so other people don't see it.
But anyway,
Okay.
look,
Let me switch this off. Have we got anything else to say? Let's bring you guys back from your hidden. There we go.
I was enjoying Paddy
Hello.
in full screen. Paddy and IMAX. Well, that was a great show, boys.
Yeah, that was fun.
I think there's lots of interesting news still to come. And I think just us even trying to figure out that table shows how hard this season's going to be.
Yeah.
Do you know the most depressing thing? That we spent 2 shows going through all the managers, and probably 50% of those are going to be out of a job halfway through the season.
At least 50%, probably more than that.
Well,
Yeah, I was being kind.
Yeah, it was
I
much
just
more than
wanna-
50% last year.
I just want to thank the EFL and the Championship for helping us create content.
Yeah, there you go.
The gift that keeps giving.
Oh, shoot.
So, boys, well, what do you reckon? We wrap it up for today?
Yeah, let's get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought you guys did an absolutely stellar job reviewing all these clubs. I think it was great fun. It's interesting. I know I learned something along the way. I hope everybody else out there did too. So, any last words, boys, before I get us out of here?
It's been
Thumbs
fun.
up.
Thumbs up. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. How about that one?
Yeah, there you go.
On that bombshell.
All that stuff.
Yeah. Get
Okay.
I'm sure we'll have more shows coming.
On that bombshell, Parky is going to survive the whole season.
Oh my.
Bold call.
We're out on that one. I like that one. See you later,
I like that
guys.
one too.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.